wonders of the universe. The Legends of Grayskull podcast.
Legends of Grayskull is a fan podcast exploring the vast worlds of He-Man and She-Ra. Join Shawn Scavarna and Matthew Duke as they discuss the history and mystery of Eternia and Etheria, diving deep into all incarnations of Masters of the Universe.
Hey, you know who's back? It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast. Now that you know, let's go. Get ready for the show. It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast. Sit back and enjoy the ride.
Right now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Legends of Grayskull podcast, the fan podcast where we discuss the history, the mystery, the magic, and mythology of He-Man, She-Ra, Eternia, Etheria, Norda, Primus, New Adventures, Old Adventures, Ladybird, UK Annuals, comics, mini-comics, anything and everything you can think of with that He-Man, She-Ra, Master of the Universe, Princess of Power! That Mattel logo. Down in the corner, I'm Matthew Duch. Here again with my corner, Shawn Scavarna. Shawn, how we doing?
Right now. I can't help it. Every time I hear the theme song, that it's like it echoes in my head. Right now. So yeah, I am right now here with you, and I am happy about that. How are you today, man?
I am doing wonderful. We are at episode 110.
We're getting old.
We're getting there. I got to mix up the format here a little bit because I did double-digit numbers in that intro for so long that the triple digit throws it off, and I it's messing up my rhythm. So
yeah,
I gotta figure that out. The challenging life of a podcaster, right here.
first world problems. I'm telling you.
Absolutely. So we got some new toys to talk about. We've got a fan choice creation winner to talk about. This is going to be a news episode here, guys. We're in between issues of Forge of Destiny. That'll come out on the 3rd. So yeah, we're just gonna go over some toy talk. But before that, Shawn, do you have anything you want to show off today?
I don't, because I showed it all off on 2 Off-Worlds ago.
Off-World? What's that?
Off-World is, according to Curtis Ackerman, every Friday night, each and every Friday night, where Matt, Curtis, Jesse, and I get together and talk some geekdom, and then occasionally there's a 2.0 version, which we will not talk about legally, I think. But yeah, I showed it all off there. I got the Mask of the Red Death, which, I'll be honest, I still haven't taken out of the box.
I haven't either.
Thing of what's behind the mask, I haven't even done that yet, and it's been about 2-3 weeks since I got it, and I still, every time that I get a moment to myself, I literally just shut down and just either zone out or watch a horror movie because it's Halloween, and it's been eating at me. Like, I should open that, and then I end up forgetting to do it at the end of the day every freaking day lately.
Yeah, no, honestly, mine's still sitting here. I showed it off when I got it. It's still sealed. Kind of the same thing. There's something special I wanted to do with the opening, and I might still make it happen. So that's why I haven't been pushing to open it just to open it. But I will say my hat's off to everybody on the internet because I still have not been spoiled.
Yeah, me neither.
As to what the head looks like underneath there. So that's exciting. You don't get that too often nowadays.
And just watch. Today will be the day where I go on and all of a sudden somebody does it. Now I'm like, I had 2 weeks. Yeah. I really had 2. Now, today is the day that it happened.
It's because we said something out loud, and
it's out in the universe. It's out in the ether, and then it'll come back to bite me on the butt later today, I'm sure.
You.
But I real quick though, I will say we had that pre-order for the Mondo Beast Man.
We did.
And that ended on Friday the 13th, if I remember correctly. And I did end up going in on that because My normal connections did not work, and I was really hoping that that would be the case, and then finally it was getting too close to the finish line. I'm like, nope, I'm just gonna do this. So
Yep.
no more review samples, but there will be still more Mondo on the show as
They hooked you. They hooked you.
they hooked me. That's
It is
that
a beautiful
they did their job and they did it way too well. Let's put it that way.
Yep. I think from what's been teased and shown, I think I'm good up until maybe Panther. Panther will be the one that I really have to sit down and think and crunch and maybe sell some stuff. Which I really need to sell some stuff anyways. I got a lot of extra stuff I'm just sitting on. Too much asking.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
But yeah, other than that, the Orko might be tempting if he comes in at a lower price point.
Mm-hmm.
But they also have a bunch of extra stuff with him, so I think he'll still probably be around that same price point. But if he were like half the cost, like if he were around the 100 mark for Orko,
Mm-hmm.
that'd be pretty tempting. Like he's
Yeah.
not a must have, but for the right deal, you know.
Well, even like I had a plan going into it,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, Beast Man, and then they revealed Tila, and I was thinking about Panther, and now I'm just like, all right, maybe I'll revise this and see what happens next year, because Tila, as much as she's the main character, I'm actually at the point of going, I don't know if I really need her like I would if they had Fisto or Manny Faces. Or even a Ram Man eventually, because those guys visually are going to be more stunning, in my opinion, than Tila could be, because they're going to take more room on the shelf. I mean, that trap jaw, which did I show that off on the show? I don't remember. I'm getting confused here.
Not here.
Hold on one second. I didn't then. Well,
You
then we're going to do it today.
supposed to do a review special, and
I messed that up because last week was nutty, but. Trapjaw, this guy earns one heck of a gold star as far as I'm concerned, or something along those lines, because this guy is something else when you see him on the shelf. Even with their, like the more like samurai plated loin piece and all that stuff. But I mean, if you look on the back here, I mean, you got every accessory accounted for with how many loops you have here to put the accessories on. I haven't even gotten a chance to play with him the way I was hoping to, so hopefully I'll do that soon. But like this guy on the shelf, plus now Deluxe Skeletor and Beast Man being even like a head taller than the normal figures. I mean, that's more what I want to see on the shelf compared to Tila at the moment. So we'll see what happens.
No, I agree. You know me, I've always, Tila, Man at Arms, completely necessary for stories, but as far as needing figures of them, they're actually pretty low of my want list. So, only thing I got this week from the wonderful Adam McCombs, founder, writer, leader of the Battle Ram blog, I did get this nice vintage, I think he said it was Brazilian store display. So just some nice vintage artwork there. As a counter display. So but I haven't looked at anything up already. It does say a magazine. So this would sit on like the top of the magazine rack. But just some nice classic early artwork. Very good shape. Few scratches on the back. There's a piece of tape that might be vintage, so I'm kind of tempted to leave it there.
That is 1983 tape. You do not touch that.
They don't make tape like that anymore. But that's
true.
It's I don't really go out of my way for this stuff, but it was just in such beautiful shape. I couldn't pass it up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So. No, I'm right there with you. Like the one that I see occasionally and I really would love, and I keep thinking it's like It's either in Italian or Spanish or something. Because at the bottom it's like Masters, but then it's Del Universo or something.
Yeah.
And it's the one where it's like the painted version of He-Man, but he's got the axe and the shield, and then Skeletor with his Havoc staff, and there's two different individual pieces.
Yeah.
And those, just from the artwork alone, make me wish I had them, because that's like, that reminds me of the era before the one you just showed, where it's
Yep.
that way more like the barbarian Frazetta vibe that I'm always a fan of with Masters. And every time I see those, I always screen cap them or save the images, just because I'm like, every time I just love looking at those in detail, blowing those things up and seeing all the art.
Exactly.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right, let's jump right in then. First up, is an addendum. We got a better look at the Necroconda figure that's coming out. So, in addition here to the yeah, so obviously we saw the figure before. It's got the snake armor Skeletor upper armor. It's got the snake armor He-Man gauntlet with the loincloth. It's a glow in the dark black, bluish green. But he also comes then with it looks like Tila's sword, the dagger from Lady Slither, and I think the big sword was from Fangor, along with the claw weapon for the snake armor He-Man gauntlet. Those are all done in the glow-in-the-dark plastic. And the big surprise for me that I did not see coming was the snake tail piece from Lady Slither. So I already thought this was a cool figure, but then you get that snake tail piece, which can fit into any Masters of the Universe Origins figure, as we've seen from the people who've gotten Lady Slither already that have done, all Origins figures come apart. That waist peg on that tail can fit into any figure. So, heck of a value right there. And I think they said this was a Walmart exclusive.
Oh, okay.
It's either Walmart or Target, but I think that because Target has the Demogorgon and Skeletor 2-pack.
Yeah.
And Walmart got Necroconda.
Yeah, this honestly, I didn't even notice until seeing this, the snake armor He-Man pincer gauntlet part until now, and I'm like, that is nuts that he's got that on top of everything else. They packed him up the same way that in classics we had Drago Man.
Yeah.
Where he's got so many different things and so many different ways of displaying them because of the accessory allotment. That it's pretty cool. Like I said, this one, not a fan of the Snake Man, but if you make an individual looking one like this, you're suddenly playing my tune compared to here's Ratlore, here's Tongue Lasher, here's like this is more like the creepiness of this one is way more the way I wish they could do other snake figures stuff like Lady Slither. I dig this, but like growing up, we had what we had, and I was always like, yeah, screw those guys and stuff. If they would have had him, I'd be like, he's the leader of the Snake Man. King has go sit on it,
Yeah.
But,
no, it's a really cool figure. The cape and the hood and just the color scheme. I love that snake armor for the Skeletor that I think looks stupid on Skeletor looks amazing here. So
absolutely.
Yeah, color scheme, the value. I can see lots of people grabbing him. I don't even necessarily want the tail on him, but for those guys that love the pop and swap with Origins, like that's a heck of a piece that isn't available very readily. So,
a lot of customizing if you can get your hands on one. But I'm guessing since he's an exclusive, he's going to be one that's at least like 2 to 3 times what you're going to find him for in the store if you're lucky to find him.
Yeah, I mean, besides the initial wave of Rise of Evil, I think all the figures have been pretty easy to find. I know Moss Man's pretty much sitting on shelves now. So, yeah.
It's been a while since I've been in a Walmart, so I honestly couldn't even tell you. I don't get out that much anymore. I was at Target in the last couple of weeks, and they didn't have much anything. They had like a few things here and there, but it was not like it was a year ago when I used to go over. So yeah, hopefully anybody who's looking for this one, it'll be an easy catch. And it is cool. Like this is one that I really wish could be. It's retrofitted now. I wish it was retrofitted into the 80s because this thing would have been nuts.
Yeah. Nope, it definitely would have been a winner back then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I said before about Terror and Lord Grasp and how I feel about them, even though they were actually 80s. Like they're ones where they took significant parts, and to me, you can see, you know, like I can't unsee that Whiplash head on top of the Rattler neck. Like, but excuse me. But him, like all the reused parts just blend in very nicely, and they look made for each other. Next up, they did announce the winner of the Eternia's Choice fan vote, and thanks to Geek Dad Life for the graphic, it was the Snake Lair playset, which I personally did not vote for. Shawn, did you? I can't recall.
Nope, I did the attack track and the tower for the horde.
That is the correct answer.
Yeah, this one, I got to admit, like I wasn't following this as well as other people, I'm sure, out there. And when I saw this was the one that won, I literally took one look at it. I go, okay, and I went on with the rest of my day because this was nothing on my radar at all.
Yeah.
No offense to Axel at all, but it's just not something. I guess the reason that a lot of people thought this was a great idea were probably just, hey, now the statement finally have something, since every faction had something as a base up until now, with the exception of the Snake Men. But again, Snake Men are the lowest of the rung for me to begin with, so it's not like I needed them. And you know, it was more Snake Mountain, Castle Grayskull for me as a kid than anything.
Yep.
So even the Fright Zone was minimal compared to other things because I just like the idea of the horde just running in and causing trouble. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Matt?
I mean, I am super happy for Axel, you know, and he is a great guy. And it is a well-designed play set, and it has its roots in the vintage line. You know, he took that old abandoned treehouse concept play set, and he kind of used the same. He like adapted it into the Snake Lair. Like, I love the story behind it. I love the heritage. Like, I love Axel and his work. But for me, it just out of the options, this was definitely low on the totem pole for me personally. And I still feel, like I said before, that Mattel knew what they wanted to make, and they were going to make it regardless. And like I said, this was one that got like the full treatment, big art. You could see all the different things. I feel like they definitely manipulated the vote where certain choices on the poll were given less than flattering artwork or, you know, whatever. There wasn't enough detail. But they've been, between the way it was presented, the fan community's definite and appropriate love of Axel Jimenez, and the fact that this year they have been slamming the Snake Men down our throats, I think all was definitely them leading up to this. I mean, they did the Fangor pre-order, the Lady Slither pre-order, and then the fan choice. Like, so yeah, I'm I'm not going to come out and be some crazy conspiracy theorist that said, because they didn't actually release any results.
Yeah.
They just said this was the winner. So I don't know. Like I'm glad it's getting made. I hope that they go back to the well with some of those other choices. Because I think for quite a few of those, it's a now or never, because Origins is wrapping up. They are going into Filmation. I'm sorry, Cartoon Collection. So but once that's done, I'm assuming the plan is by then to have a movie ready. So then we're going into the movie product, and that's going to follow those designs, which it should. I don't see us getting another shot at some of this stuff. I think classics have come and gone. Rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Origins is wrapping up. The cartoon collection's about to start. And then after here, I think it's going to be more like an MCU effect where, eventually they're going to get this movie off the ground. They're going to redesign and update things. And I think that's going to set the tone for what's to come. Whether, if it's successful, then that's going to be, your quote unquote diversion from here on out. I mean, we've seen going to Marvel as a parallel. Tony Stark in the comics has been Robert Downey Jr. since Robert Downey Jr. took the role. Yeah. That character updated and changed, and it just, and I think the same thing will happen to Masters. So either the movie comes out, it's a hit, and that kind of directs how we're going to go with these characters from here on out, which I'm not even saying is a bad thing. Like, that's what you have to do. You want it to be successful. I want it to be successful, but that means we're going to a new iteration of it,
Yeah.
You see it with Superman. You had Christopher Reeve's Superman, and then, 90s came out with their steroid, long-haired, mulleted Superman, and that took over. And then, Batman, we went from Adam West to Michael Keaton to, Christian Bale. Like, it's what happens.
Yeah.
But so this is kind of the point here where if we're going to get cartoon collection stuff, we're going to get it. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't see them looping back around again. We already did classics. We looped back to the beginning for Origins. Now we're looping back to the beginning for cartoon collection. I
wish.
I don't see them going, then getting a movie launched, and then going back again for a, I don't know, vintage collection. Like, I don't see it happen.
I wanted to say first off, every time you say cartoon collection, I really wish we could have that ding noise every time, because I know how much it drives me nuts. But it's underscoring that frustration, and it would amuse the hell out of me.
Cartoon.
No, I'm so number one, the one thing that I was reminded of when that was revealed as the winner out of everything, which was mind-blowing to me, was this is also a crowdfunding project. Mm-hmm. This is not something that's a guarantee. So the fact that now we have this being the option as the crowdfunding project, I feel like there's a part of Mattel going, we can maybe breathe a sigh of relief. This might not work, and we don't have to do this one. And maybe we'll focus on the other ones that were already thrown out as options, because those are more in the vein of what we need to do with the cartoon collection, in that way. Because everything else that they put on that list was legit geared for something like what they're about to come out.
Except for the Toy Fright Zone.
Except for the Toy Fright Zone. It's true. But in a way, that could be like, okay, with them, they still have things. They still have money left on the table from Origins in general. There's still figures and things they didn't do yet. So
Right.
maybe that is a potential, and then the cartoon collection could still be in tandem,
No,
possibly.
you're saying cartoon collection way too upbeat. It's collection. Yeah. Sigh of
Cartoon
disgust. As
collection.
you
You got to do the old Peter Cullen Masters of the Universe cartoon collection by Mattel. You know, just have it be like something so nutty.
But I get what you're saying, and that's why I hope honestly that this was the legit winner, because if it was the legitimate winner out of all those votes, then it should get funded. Because we run the other risk is that this, and that's a great point. This hasn't been funded yet. They just said it's won the opportunity
Yeah,
to be placed on the Kickstarter. So not Kickstarter, but you know what I mean.
the crowdfunding.
You're right.
Yeah, however they do it. Yeah.
But so then if this fails and that was the fan vote winner,
Mm-hmm.
then it's sending the message to Mattel that, hey, if the top candidate for this didn't win, why would any of these or didn't fund, why would any of these others? And maybe that's their barometer to go, okay, none of these options are valid. We're going to toss them all out.
I don't disagree with that either because Mattel is, in my personal opinion, Mattel is a lot more Chicken Little about this line, about the brand of Masters, than they are about any other thing they put out there because it is more of like okay, it's such a niche Grateful Dead where there are hardcore fans,
Yeah.
but we don't have the new blood the way that other lines that they have keep getting generationally, which in my opinion partially is their fault, not our fault. And it's like come at me Mattel on that one, but I mean seriously, when you throw 2000X under the bus and it was actually not a bad reboot,
Yeah.
and you just leave everything else out there the way you did, it's like, yeah, you're not really showing exactly the biggest confidence booster of this being a brand that you believe in. So it's like I have no dog in the race, so I honestly hope that it does fund so that they get the message on that and it does prove me wrong about what I'm saying right now. Um, Again, I agree with what you said too about Axel. I feel like with the amount of work he's had with the line, and he's one of the artists that even during the dip in the popularity, and it was the Grateful Dead project of Mattel with classics and the way that was going, he still was putting stuff out there to get the fandom pumped to go, yeah, Masters, remember that we love Masters and all that stuff. So the fact that he was one of those artists that was keeping the torch going, he was keeping it moving that way. It's like, yeah, I definitely hope that this works because I believe the guy does deserve something as, hey, this is for you now, finally,
Yep.
because your work has that passion to it that it reminded everybody of a brand that we know and love. So yeah, definitely no ill wishes about this project at all. The other thing too, which I I hate to admit this, but as someone who is the one that usually says I really want to see Masters progress, this is a case in point of it's trying to progress at least.
Yeah.
Mattel is wanting to go with something that we've never had before. And while the Snake Men has never been something that I've loved, I gotta actually give them props to say, hey, at least they're doing something that we've never seen before, and it does push the borders of what we know open a little bit further into what Eternia is, and what things we haven't had as kids and what things we didn't expect to have. So in certain ways, this is actually a positive in that way too. And do I want to see the other stuff happen because I know the fans would love it? Absolutely. Because I mean, if I had the choice when I was a kid between the puppet Fright Zone versus the Tower Fright Zone, I probably would have wanted the Tower Fright Zone, to be completely honest, because it
100%.
represented what I saw every afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And same with Snake Mountain. If they would have came out with a big Snake Mountain with the, instead of the other version,
Yep.
I would have eaten that up as a kid because that looked more like what I saw on TV every afternoon stuff. So, I hope those do find a way to the shelves or to the, shelves of the fans or to the shelves at Walmart and Target too.
Absolutely. Sorry, I just got distracted because. Nah, I'll bring it up another time. All right. I will say, only rebuttal I have to your point is I do feel, yes, Mattel out of all the toy companies is the most Chicken Little, but they have gotten better than they used to be because they are actually going. Before it was, well, if the line ends, we need to take at least 5 years off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we gotta take some time. However, they are going right from Origins to Cartoon Collection.
Collection from the
And they've done the Masters of the WWE universe at the same time. They're licensing it out more. We got the Loyal Subjects. Iron Studio is now doing the statues. Mondo's got their figures. Like they're finally getting more to a place like Hasbro and Playmates have been the whole time, where they're like, hey, if we just keep throwing shit out, maybe not everything will land, but some stuff will. And Mattel's finally coming around and be like, you know what? Maybe it is better to keep it in the public eye rather than shelve it for 10 years and hope that people still care about it then.
Agreed.
And so in that vein, Mattel did announce the super secret, no one had any inkling that they were coming at all, best kept secret of the toy industry. I kid, everybody knew these things were coming. Mattel is terrible at keeping secrets. They did present the Turtles of Grayskull, finally.
Here we are.
Here we are. So this is from the Masters of the Universe Facebook page. First up, we have Leonardo on card. Nice harness with an L on it. He does have two power katanas that form into one. Some ill-fitting shoulder armor and nice bright blue loincloth. Shawn, what are your thoughts on Leonardo here?
It's different than what I was expecting because I don't know why I kept thinking that they were going to go with the same designs as Freddie Williams the third, if I remember it.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's the number behind his name.
Yeah.
He did do, and he was showing off in the last year. Here's pages he had of concept art that he was working on for the comic book version that never got released, it never went anywhere. And I was really hoping it would be more like his stuff because I really dug what he was doing. This is definitely like a sidestep, but we're at least in the vein of what that was supposed to be. So it took me a little bit to kind of get used to, oh, this is what it's going to look like now. I honestly am kind of 50-50 still looking at them. I like the sword. I think that's probably one of the most fun parts. But the other thing that gets me is I will give Mattel props for this because I haven't picked up a Playmates Ninja Turtle in ages.
Right.
Even with the new movie, I haven't bothered with any of those figures. The last figures I think I got were from the 2012 CGI show. I got the whole, like all four turtles for my son and Shredder and some of those, and that's been it. I've been going NECA otherwise if I want anything. this Leonardo is one of the first times I've seen like a more Playmates-esque Leonardo, where I'm looking at it going, Mattel kicked their ass this time, in my opinion. It looks more like my childhood to see this Leonardo than anything they've done recently. So in that way, I'll be honest, I might buy the turtles in this because they are so different. Since I'm not into the Origins line, these actually work for me in like that old school turtle vibe.
I agree. I think the turtles are definitely the winners of this line.
Hmm.
Um, and Freddie Williams will be doing the mini comic that comes with
Yeah.
this. It is not based on the canceled crossover in any way, shape, or form, but they did hire Freddie Williams to do the mini comic for it. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I just the blue seems really bright to me. Um, it's more that Venus de Milo blue than it is a Leo blue, so that bugs me. Um, but yeah, I like his blend the most. I do find it interesting that they don't seem to have an actual shell, that it's just painted on. They got the painted brown onto the muscles, because that is through and through the origin. Well, I can't tell if it's the Origins or the Cartoon Collection book, because they're both very similar. Um, but yeah, it is just that buck painted in turtle colors, so that's kind of an interesting thing. And I had to get a better look at the back. The front shell doesn't bother me too much that way, but the back shell might look pretty odd if it's just painted on back there. And you can even see here with his card back art that, like, look how much deeper they did the blue there
Yeah.
than what the actual figure looks like. So that's interesting.
That's one of those things about like Origins in general. I feel like the colors are so garish on anyway half the time. I know there's people out there going, "Well, that's how it was when we were kids." I'm like, "No, not that way."
Yeah.
Like it was a colorful line, but the colors were a little more, I don't even want to say earthy because they weren't, but it's like they upped the colors on everything when it came to Origins, and it's like this doesn't surprise me, and the blue, it could end up being a little different when we see it in person. Who knows?
Yeah.
But for me, it's like that's just par for the course. That critique of it, which I'll give it to you too. At the same time, like yeah, I'd rather see it definitely more indigo-esque of a blue than how light it is here. But for the most part, it's like this is making me more excited for Origins than I ever was, and it's for Turtles. Go figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got He-Man, the most powerful mutant in the universe. Um, and this one is interesting. Kind of what I figured from the beginning, but I know some people needed it more explained. But definitely once the carded shot was shown here. So apparently these with He-Man's card back, it's got Skeletor and Shredder up on top. I don't think I have. Nope, this is the cropped version of the card back art on this page. But basically, it appears the storyline is going to be that He-Man gets mutated, and so then he's under the control of Skeletor and Shredder. So the Turtles have to team up to unmutate him and make him not evil. I feel like we've done this before. I go back to, I just.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't they just team up? Why does it have to be, well, someone's got to go evil, and then, and I'm just, this design is just not good. Ugh. The bright purple, like, It's an interesting design, but not like this is what you do with He-Man in this story. It's same. Thundercats He-Man crossover killed him off, and then when they revived him, He-Man was a mindless zombie that fought Lion-O. And that's how they got their battle. And it's just like with that one, I'm like, do we have to jump through these many hoops? And then this is like just kind of the same thing in my mind. It's like, why do we have to go here? Well, we have to make one of the heroes evil so they fight each other. Why? Did they Turtles and Batman, did they have to fight each other? No, they just teamed up and kicked the crap out of people. But beyond that, I don't like. There are so many interesting ways to me that you could have taken He-Man gets doused with ooze. I mean, if you want to go Turtles logic, that's how you get Battle Cat Man, right?
Yeah.
It's the animal you're most around, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Turtles became humanoid. Splinter, depending on the, if you go cartoon, he became a rat because he was around the rats. But He-Man turns into a purple steroid freak with spikes on him and green hair. I don't know. You take it.
No, I mean, I'm right there with you. Like when I saw this, when I saw it, the only thing that let me know it was He-Man was the H on his chest, and I was just like, lame. There was nothing about this that even spoke to me on any level. It literally just felt like, okay, we have to have He-Man in this, so we're gonna just do something like, hey, remember the slime pit zombie He-Man that we did in classics? We'll just do that again, but purple. And it's like that worked for me in classics because that was something that it was already always hinted at, like the idea of, what if he did get doused in this? Like, yeah, I agree there completely. It's like, okay, there could have been different, more interesting ways of showing He-Man gets the mutagen on him. He, like you said, he could have turned into Battle Cat Man, or he could have been something completely different. This purple with green hair, it's like, whatever.
And so in the loop around pose here, which is coming in a minute here, we see the full card back. And that's exactly what happens there. So we've got on the card back there, the part that you couldn't see in the other images is Shredder standing in front of a slime pit, but instead of the dinosaur skull on top, it's got a Shredder helmet on top and it's pouring out ooze. So I'm like, that's a cool concept. Shredder's design that we've seen on the card back, we haven't seen a figure, looks really cool. It almost looks like they're going like a mosquito or blood pump thing on his chest armor. And the shirtless Shredder actually makes sense for once with him coming to Eternia. But that slime pit mashup looks amazing. It's a cool story. It's like how do you get to this design? That's my thing.
Yeah. I mean, out of all the reveals, this one was one where I'm like, I got nothing.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Donatello, the heroic turtle at arms. And it's Donatello with purple man-at-arms armor. Which works. I mean, don't get me wrong, it works, but it's like, it's exactly what I expected. And so for that reason, it's not that exciting to me, I guess.
I mean, for me at least, looking at it, I appreciate it, honestly. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Like you said, I guess my thing, like the whole Leo one, since going back to him for a second, was I almost figured based on the concept art that I saw based on the canceled comic, it would have been more like, Leonardo would almost have like more of a He-Man vibe to him. Instead, it's more like, here's almost like a Eternian samurai Leo, which, okay, that's fine. same in this case, but in my opinion, out of the two of them, Donnie definitely he pulls this look off better easily compared to Leo's more of like a they're trying to figure out who he is on Eternia versus this makes complete sense to me. Now, if they have Raph show up in a white swimsuit like Teela, I'm gonna have some good laughs on that one because that's gonna be hysterical. But I'd say out of this wave, as much as I hate to admit it, I think Donnie's probably the best for the turtles so far because his translates the easiest. Like you said, you picture here's the guy that does machines. Well, Man at Arms is his alternate on Eternia. Boom, yeah, peanut butter and jelly. Then it completely makes sense, you know.
No, that's it. But to me, it's the plainest.
No surprise
for that.
though.
Right, there's no surprise. There's no like, oh, they did like even Leo. At least they like, oh, that's how, like it is that He-Man vibe, but it's not just he's got He-Man's armor on. You know what I mean? They're like, well, let's give him some shoulder pads and let's give him, let's make his harness a little different. Like, okay, at least you went there, a little bit, So
this does show at least how the shell works from the underside, at least now that I'm looking at it on the one that we posted in our group, the Legendati.
I'm gonna get to that post in a minute here. Yeah.
But no, like I don't know, like the armor and everything. I am surprised, and I'll give them the creative props on this one. How they managed to get the shell design on the Eternian armor a lot more than I would have expected, and it works.
Yeah.
Which does easily surprise the heck out of me right now because I sometimes question the creativity at Mattel with some of the things that they do in this line, with the exception of He-Man. I see more creativity coming out of it that I'm really enjoying for the first time in a while.
All right. I'll show this real quick here. So here is the Donatello in the action pose. And yeah, so basically the front is just kind of painted and the back looks like it's just an armor piece, which yeah, I still got to see it to see how that, like, from this angle here, honestly, that's not great to me. Like, it looks like a piece of armor from the front there. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I'm not sold on it. And then here is the Leo action pose where you can see the swords a bit better.
Yeah, I dig the swords.
Yeah, the swords are cool. The armor looks better there than it does in the in-package pics, and it's got the second piece on the left side, which is just in the package that you have to put on yourself. I still need that blue needs to be a deeper blue. I think that's still just my biggest thing. It looks more like kind of the end of the line Turtles where they were going like the metallic and stuff.
Yeah.
Or even kind of the fast forward from the 2000 series. I don't know if you remember those figures. That's what Leo reminds me of. He reminds me of that fast forward design.
Yeah. I think for me, like, I like most of the aspect of the Leo is that L, because now that they're doing the H for He-Man, that's like across the board. The L for Leo for me, it's like Donnie doesn't have that, so I don't know why they had to do, like, it could have just been an easy put the shell there or something, or it's something other than just the L. I know that's like the thing ever since the cartoon in '87. But if Donnie doesn't have it, it doesn't mean they all need to have it, in my opinion.
Right.
So, I mean, their colors definitely differentiate them enough that it could have been something different, at least. But that's just me. Otherwise, I'm surprisingly, I do really enjoy what they're doing here more than I thought. Yep.
Yeah, there's the fast forward Leo. So yeah, that's what was hidden for me in the back of my brain. Grant is I mean, it's not perfect, but he's got the shoulder pads. He's got a brighter blue, and he does have the the dual swords that he's always had. But yeah, so next up, if I can find which tab I was in, so we got Donatello. He's got the long bow staff with the literally the man-at-arms club on top. Come on, guys, you could have done something. And then we got Man-Arms, the weapons master in a half shell. It's Man-at-Arms.
I don't know if I'll be honest with you. Like, out of the designs for these, this Man-at-Arms, I actually think looks freaking cool.
Yeah.
It feels 2000X mixed with Ninja Turtles, and that's probably why I love it so much. And it also even has there's a vibe of it that it even almost nods at the CGI show, because there's a little more blue in his armor than there used to be because of what they did here. So in certain ways, I'm actually really liking this. The only design decision that they made that I think is silly as hell is how the pieces from the belt come down and they're on his thighs. Because all I'm thinking is him running and you just hear clap, 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 clap the whole time, and it's gonna. I don't know why. That's where my mind goes to. It's like the functionality of these when you see them. And all that my mind goes to is if he's running after somebody, he's not going to be a ninja at all. Those things can be loud as hell.
Yeah, they're trying to play up the samurai type armor.
And it just doesn't work the way they did it there. So that was a bad move on their part, in my opinion. But everything else about him, I'm actually pretty into. I dig it.
This one I find very interesting. I definitely get what you're saying, and my first thought was, the 2000X Man-at-Arms, the bigger shoulder pad, now with a shell motif. Again, I think it's just kind of the same thing with Donnie. It's like there's nothing necessarily unique here, and it looks like he even comes with the same weapon as Donnie. He's got the mace sitting there with a longer handle, like. What I find most interesting though is like they went for a very darker more the Michelangelo green for his bodysuit.
Yeah.
But then if you look at the card back art, we actually get a very different looking Man-at-Arms where he's got his regular brighter green bodysuit.
Yeah.
His armor is less turtly. And even his samurai shin guard whatever's like they're
off to the side more.
They're off to the side. They're a silver. It's just kind of interesting that I don't know if it was kind of a late minute decision to change the colors, or maybe the colors weren't done and they were working off black and white images when they did the card back art. It's just kind of interesting there because his character on the card back is almost nothing like his character that you're actually getting. And he's the only one that's like that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if that helmet's going to be removable. It looks like it's not sitting right there. So I'm thinking it is, honestly.
It's got a shadow. Like on the one that we have in the group, there's a shadow around the face, and it looks like it probably will come off.
We'll go ahead and go over there anyways because we are done here. There is the action pose.
There's definitely.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. It looks like it is removable, which is an interesting choice. And he's got the big turtle shell weapon, which now that I'm looking at it, I'm betting that's the same piece that the turtles have on their back.
Probably.
I'm betting it'll be removable on all of them.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about this one where it's given me something that I haven't gotten from since 2000X when the Horseman did the design.
Yeah.
I like the chunkiness of this one. I love that huge shoulder pad because I love the 2000X version. And even that, like, color wise, that green is dark,
Hmm.
but the color's working for me. And even that face sculpt, it's got
It's
like more of like an animated look to it. Like
hmm
if DC or Warner Brothers had done Turtles crossover with Masters, this would work the same way as the Turtles that they designed in the Batman meets the Ninja Turtle line looked.
exactly.
So I'm appreciating that, but then there's a part of me that's like, I kind of want there to be like just give us the He-Man that's not under the Shredder control. I'd
Hmm.
love to see what they would have done with him instead of it being what they did. Now it's I'm weird like that. It's like it almost for me hamstrings the line for that reason because it's like your main character isn't even the right person at this point,
Exactly.
and I kind of want to see what a He-Man would look like just teaming up with the Turtles in this version.
Yeah, and even then, so those are the first wave of this crossover. So you've got two turtles, Man at Arms, and an evil He Man. Like that's not even a great mix, you know, as a line. Three heroes and one villain. Like what are we doing here? You know.
Mm.
Grant, I think this is going to follow the origins where they're going to come like boom, 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 boom with the waves. But even then, it's an interesting quartet to start off with. We
Yeah.
over here we do have a couple more that have not been shown packaged yet because these will probably be wave two. We'll come back to him in a second. We'll start here with the Krang in the Megator esque body. Um, this, yes, this is the one for me where I'm like, okay, they went there. Um, it's kind of interesting having a Megator style body. I'll be curious to see how much bigger he actually is. I mean, you can tell
Hmm.
from there. So basically, they've got the I'm just gonna say origins upper torso. Then you've got the waist, and in between they created a piece to fit in there to hold Krang inside. So this figure is, even if this is the standard origin buck, it's still going to be taller than the rest of them because of that extra piece, which is interesting.
Hmm.
Theoretically, because of the modular aspect, you could then take that piece out and put the two torso and waist together normally and have a Megator figure without the Krang in there, which is an interesting concept.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, this is one that actually worked better for me than I thought it was going to off those leaked images that you couldn't really tell what was going on with it. Actually seeing this in person, I'm like, you know what? That works for me in some odd way.
This one, it literally looks. It's almost like a Frankenstein's monster of a
Mm-hmm.
toy,
Yeah.
and I appreciate it, but it's definitely not one that I need. Like out of this initial offering, I'd say I probably will go in on the Turtles because it's fun. Man at Arms I appreciate, but again, the no He-Man makes it that okay, yeah, at least the no heroic He-Man makes it that I'm like, all right, whatever. This is another one of those where I'm like, I appreciate it, but that like that really hot red slash almost pink is really distracting to me. I know the booties and the gloves on the original Krang were red and
Yeah.
all that, but this one's almost garish the way it looks in that way, and it's like I'm not a huge fan of the color scheme in this is really odd for me. And I get what they're doing, but they almost picked the wrong things to do to make that decision for me, I guess. It is kind of fun to go, okay, how big is Krang going to be? Because it's like when we were kids, he was
Yeah.
huge. compared to I think this will be more in scale what you would figure Krang would be, but yeah, he's not one that I would need.
I'm almost curious if I don't know if it's the way it's photographed or maybe the turtles have like you look at the turtle's legs and then you look at Krang's legs and they just look thicker. I'm almost wondering if they use the Andre the Giant body from the Masters of the WWE for this one. I think this whole body might be bigger.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Well, to me, that I would hope so.
Yeah.
Like I don't know anything behind the scenes, but I kind of want the turtles to maybe come up to where Krang's top
Yeah.
of his head is or something, and have the whole other the upper body be like a whole nother figure height,
Mm-hmm.
if that was possible, without any kind of scaling to show. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it could end up being like maybe a 8 or 9 inch figure by
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, maybe.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. But regardless, no matter what, it's got to be taller because of that added midsection.
Yep.
So no matter what, you're still going to get that scale difference, which is really cool. And I'm not even saying I don't think. Uh, Spoiler alert! I don't think any of these are must-haves for me. I appreciate what they went for in this design, and it surprised me. And maybe that's what I'm looking for more than anything nowadays. It's just like, just do something unexpected. Like I said, the Leonardo, the Donatello, the Man at Arms. There's so much like, hey, this is what you would think of if you cross the two. Whereas this one's like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that.
Hmm.
And you got the He-Man that just like two out of left field. So
Yeah.
and
I like the chains, by the way. That was the only other thing. Is
yeah,
I like the chain motif in this one, where I mean he's using chains like
mm-hmm.
suspenders basically, but then on the loincloth, I like how it's unifying it down there too. That works. Just the painting for me, like if they could
Yeah.
get a different color scheme, it'd be even better.
And then the last one they showed off, which to me was the absolute winner. It's so stupid, I love it. And that is the Mouser Trap Jaw. This one, it's another one that the first time I saw, I'm like, what the did they do? And then the more I look at him, like, that's so stupid. And then the more I look at him, like, that's so stupid. I love it. He's got the Mouser jaw for his jaw and the helmet. Like,
Yeah.
he's got the Mouser cannon there. And then I don't know if you noticed, Shawn, but on his belt, he's got two Mouser feet. So I think you're actually going to be able to take that body off of his attachment and put the feet on it, and you'll actually have a Mouser along with him.
Yep. Yeah, I would not be surprised looking at this. Yeah.
I never would have thought about this, but it works so well. And he's even got a little turtle shell with like the crossbones on it. Like this right here is like, why can't they do this with all of these guys? If you're gonna mash them, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing that's really like, I don't know what it is. This one, the creativity's there, but I'm still not past the it's so stupid. I haven't gotten to it's so ridiculous. It's on the other side like you are yet. I don't know why. Like I've seen a ton of people saying this is their favorite, and I still look at it and I'm like, there's something not working for me on this. Although the creativity is way more inspired than I mean, hell, that He-Man to me is like the worst thing that they've done in ages.
Yeah.
This is definitely the more inspired, but I honestly think it's the fact that for Trapjaw, when you put in
Oh, we lost Shawn. All right, we are back. Shawn went and paid his internet bill right quick, so we are good to go now. Yeah.
The internet lords were angry that day, my friend, I tell you. Anyway. Or Mattel was like, "Oh, quit smack talking these. It's actually fun."
I do find it interesting though that we are like the opposites here. We're these ones where I'm like, "That's stupid and goofy," and I love it, and you're like, "That's stupid and goofy and fuck off." Like,
I didn't say fuck off. I'm just saying there's something about this one that the color scheme, like I don't mind it on the legs, but when you see his head with that color scheme, I'm so used to seeing like a burgundy or like a reddish pink kind of
yeah,
helmet on him. And when I see the Mouser stuff, it just I almost wish that the Mouser stuff could be in his color scheme too for some reason, I guess. Because like with Leo, like he has the armor, but it's
yeah.
in blue. So it's like, why can't Trapjaw have the Trapjaw look, but you see, oh, it's actually a Mouser
Yeah.
that he's got this time. So in
You know
that
what would have
way,
been
that's what's
fun
bugging me.
is I would still keep the white Mouser helmet on Trapjaw because I think that I don't know. There's some bad like the and especially on like the legs that black and white
That
and
looks cool. Yeah.
and because it looks like it's gonna be like a pearlescent white too. I'm hoping that's what it kind of looks like here. But what I would have done is I would have kept the helmet the way it is, but then I would have done the actual Mouser in Trapjaw color. So the arm attachment and then the legs. If you get that in the black and green and burgundy, like that could have been cool. And that would have given something for the Turtles fans who are like, well, I've got a million Mousers, but I don't have a Mouser in Trapjaw colors.
That's
know.
I think, like if they could have done the black and the steel color like on the legs like you're talking about,
Yeah.
I think that's what would offset it more to make it feel less, though it's too much on that side to me.
Yeah.
And I'm nitpicking because honestly, I look at this and I do see the creativity, and it's like I would have never thought, and I up until now I'm like, why wouldn't I have thought of this? But I never would have put He-Man and Turtles together because it's too like the Turtles are too earthly, even though they go off world to do stuff. No pun intended, but they go into outer space. They go interdimensionally and stuff. But for some reason, going into Eternia would have never been on my list of things to see with Turtles. So now that I'm seeing it, I'm processing it. But this one, I agree. Like there should have been a little something extra with the accents on the Mouser to make it feel Trapjaw. And then, because the thing that I love is that armor on the legs makes him look like he's fancy now.
Yeah,
it looks like spats on shoes back in like the 20s and 30s. So it almost has this like, we're fancy, we're going to dinner after this.
No, exactly. I love this one. This is the winner of the wave for me. But it's funny. I definitely crossed over Turtles and He-Man. I mean, because I'm 85 baby. Like I had all my He-Man, and then the next big thing was Turtles. And then Power Rangers, and definitely all three of them, helped each other out. But as a kid, I never went to like I went to team ups.
Yeah,
like it was He-Man and the Turtles.
Like this.
I never did these mashups. Like this is a whole different thing to me.
I'm guessing then what Beastman's gonna end up being Bebop.
We've actually seen Beastman.
Oh, really? Because I haven't seen anything.
I'll see if I can pull it up real quick here, though. Out of the figures that they've shown, what's your winner? Because I already said Trapjaw's mine. Like, what's your top?
I don't know why. The one that I keep going back to, and I'm like, that's actually working for me the most, is Donatello. And I know for you, he was like, all right, he's kind of what you expected, but he's kind of the one displaying it the best it's like he's his own character, but he's got Eternian armor on him, and it works for me better. Like the Leo, I feel like they're putting too much effort into trying to make it work on him, but Donnie is like seamless. And then this, I'd honestly say Trapjaw is probably my second. My issue still is that color. Other than that, the creativity behind this is top notch. Considering I haven't been impressed with the creativity for quite a while.
So I've got so basically we've seen on the official Masters page they did the crop card back art, and if you do the full ones you see some other characters. Here's a better look at the Shredder, which I really like that look for him. That's very 2000 series Shredder in my opinion. He looks really evil, so that's a lot of fun. And this is the David Clark adultcollector.org Turtles of Grayskull fan page that I'm scrolling through here now. Lots of stuff. Here is the Man at Arms card back has him fighting the Krang Megator mutant. And see, even here, look at the way it's drawn. I think that's going to be a bigger figure. I think it's going to be more like a brute scale type figure. Because the arms are drawn thicker. The legs are drawn thicker. He is taller because of that extra piece.
Yeah.
But even beyond that, every proportion on him is still bigger beyond the height. So I think that if it's not going to be a deluxe figure, they're going to do like they did with Andre, where it is a bulkier figure. So that's a lot of fun. And of course, the only one I'm not finding here is, and I know I showed off the He-Man mutant one with the Shredder slime pit. Wouldn't that be something if that's the way we get the slime pit?
I think it'd be hysterical if that's how they do it, but I think there's going to be if they do it for here, but then they also do the original one, because there's no way people are going to go, that is the slime pit that I wanted from my childhood, you know?
Well, yeah. But if they released it, because I mean, so you've got the Shredder claws on the side. Those are easily attachments. Like those wouldn't come bolted on. And then the only other difference is the head, which the vintage was always removable. So to me, you release the slime pit with a Shredder head and in the skull, and then those attachments on the side. And really, for most of us collectors, you've just sold 2 slime pits because they're going to want to just play them both ways. So.
And honestly, because I haven't seen these images, this is the first I've seen this. That is a more horrifying slime pit than the original, in my opinion, because of those the shredding parts with the metallic bits.
Yep.
So I'd be like, personally, if I had to buy one, I'd probably go this way because it looks way more terrifying to be in.
Yep, here we go. So then on the Donatello card back, it's got him fighting Beastman in samurai armor.
Okay. So then that's throwing out my idea. But that's interesting at the same time. It's almost like the samurai versions from 2000X are finally getting their day. Which is funny to me, because like out of any of the variants, I think most people were like, really? No, hard pass. That in the Jungle He-Man and all that stuff. But that's different. I'd have to see the figure.
It's definitely
this might
not
be one of
what I expected.
Yeah, no, I figured there would have been more of a mashup with Beastman being more, one way. But I guess it only makes sense with the Mouser for Trapjaw if you think about it, because the other characters are probably going to be in the mix somehow.
Yeah.
So that was probably not the best idea. But so far, out of what I've seen, the Turtles are definitely the ones that I'm more invested in, because still we're dealing with Origins. Origins aren't exactly what I want to see out of Masters, but the Origins body style works really well on Turtles. And I wasn't expecting that to be as good as it looks in this. So like I would be in for Shredder. I'd be in for the other 2 Turtles in the next wave, I guess. Because honestly, once I get 2 of the turtles, I'm getting the other 2 no matter what. Then because I just feel weird not having all 4 turtles.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is then when you look at the card front, like He-Man, and then where they show Skeletor, they're just He-Man and Skeletor.
Okay. Well then, like I said, I'd love to see a He-Man in this because I can see the Man-at-Arms is different. I might reconsider that stance if they show a He-Man that has more maybe a stylistic looking He-Man.
Right.
I'd have to see it.
Yeah, I just found that interesting because they've got, you know, the Leonardo and the Shredder, which are master size, but then when it shows He-Man and Skeletor, they're just He-Man and Skeletor, which is interesting. And we didn't really talk about the card back too much. I actually really like the card back. I think it's better than some of the figures. The way they combine the exploding rocks with a green ooze, and you know, it's kind of because they really, if you go back vintage, Turtles and Masters had very similar card backs. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of creators from Mattel at the time definitely went on to work at Playmate, so there were some influences. And this is kind of like the perfect mashup of the two, where it's got the exploding rocks with green and then ooze at the bottom. You know, it's kind of sewery and Eternia, and that font looks great. I think they really knocked out of the park on the card back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's definitely the mashup that I didn't. I see. I'm opposite of how you were when I was a kid. But then again, when Turtles came out, I was also getting near to the end of collecting in general. So when it was Turtles, it was just Turtles, and you know, like if I play with Transformers, it was Transformers. But this is one of those where, to me, Turtles and Masters kind of have that same kitchen sink vibe about them. As
Yeah.
much as I hate to say that, it's you know, like when we were kids, Turtles had so many crazy things going on, and same with Masters. They're one of the they're two of the ones growing up that I always felt you could do almost anything with those lines, and for the most part, I'd forgive them. So it makes sense.
And then the last thing we have to look at here is and I forget who drew this. I'm sorry, but we do have a little Turtles of Grayskull promotional artwork, which just shows very much Masters characters on one side, Turtles characters on the other side. No mashup at all. Kind of interesting choices on the Master side. We've got He-Man, Tila, Man-at-Arms, Trapjaw, Ram-Man, Hordak, Skeletor, and Beastman. And then over on the Turtle side, we've got Leonardo, Splinter, Michelangelo, Raphael, Donatello, Casey Jones, Shredder, and Krang. No April, oddly enough.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting that they threw Hordak in there as well.
Well,
now, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the fact that you got Shredder and Krang, to me, that's like, well, Skeletor and Hordak kind of have that same vibe, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, just interesting that they brought in one Horde character. I mean, I'm sure, and they're all just classic. That's the interesting part to me. And then this actually says copyright 2023 Viacom International. So I know I'm going out on a limb. Maybe it's just because I'm so hungry for this to happen. I'm sorry, it does say copyright 2023 Mattel on the other corner. This looks like a character select screen to me.
Yeah.
Is this just going to be toys? Or
I don't know.
Are we finally going to get Masters in a video game? This just screams video game to me right here. I don't know why. And the Turtles obviously have always done very well in the video game market. I mean, they just released another side scroller, last year or the year before.
The Shredder's Revenge one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see what you're saying, but there's that part of me that's just like, oh, I hope not. And I don't mean it that I don't want a video game. I just really don't want He-Man and the Masters to be piggybacking on something else. I really think it would work well as its own game and be able to do.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, we just have I think in the last week, Call of Duty actually has Skeletor as an
Skeletor, yep.
unlockable character to play now. So it's like there's that, and it. I mean, if they did a game where it was a versus, okay, that's fine. But there is that part of me that I'm just like, can we just do a He-Man game finally? We didn't even like over here in America, we didn't even get the PlayStation 1 back in the day.
Yep.
That it looked, even though I heard the game wasn't amazing, I don't give a crap. I'll play it. That would be freaking fun,
Yeah, they also never actually finished it. It's so like they did, but there's still it was like technically there still should have been some bugs worked out, but they just released it anyways just to get some of their money back.
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying, but to me it's like Mattel has been so hesitant. I mean, we've had how many iterations of Masters in the modern era where video games are a no-brainer and we haven't gotten them. So to me, it's like, if this is what it takes for Viacom to be like, hey, we do video games, let us put your characters in there, and Mattel can go, hey, we just made a buttload of money off a video game. Like, let's do our own.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what it takes, give it to me, baby. And I would, and if they're gonna do it, I think the best way would be to do a fighting game, a Mortal Kombat style fighting game, rather than like save the adventure game for their own thing. Give us all these, because then we could just do He-Man versus Skeletor or Beastman versus Trapjaw, or you could do the Turtles against like, just give me a nice little beat 'em up, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, 1-on-1 with Turtles of Grayskull. And
I can understand it. I guess in that weird way, I want to have the assurance that that's not it. That's how I'm always about this. It's like I'd love to see like a Skyrim idea too, or something along those lines, or Arkham Asylum, or the PS4 and PS5 Spider-Mans, where you can have that open world to run around in Eternia. But I mean, at the same time, if they gave me the side scroller where it's the Street Fighter vibe about it, and you can do the beat 'em up that way, I'm not gonna lie, I'd probably go, hey, that's at least fun that I want to do it for a little while. But,
and I think that's all they would do. They would not do the open world. This would either be the side scroller button smasher, or be a 1-on-1 fighting game. Like that's the only two things I see them doing with this. I mean. Hell, we even had the Masters Injustice, which Injustice was literally a game at the time that comic was released that was constantly putting downloadable characters in. I think Turtles even made it into the Injustice game, even though they never had the crossover. But Masters had the comic crossover and never made it into the game. So it's like... All right, last thing I want to throw at you. We're missing we're missing two brothers here. Raphael, Michelangelo. I mean, we could go on forever, but I think just Raphael and Michelangelo, since we've seen that the Turtles are definitely mashups, who are Raphael and Michelangelo mashing up with? Let's start with Mikey, because he's the lesser of the two. Who do you think Mikey's going to mash up with?
Ram Man.
You think Mikey Ram Man, huh?
I think both of them, like Ram Man always brought comic relief.
True.
And he's a reliable character. And Mikey is very loyal, but he is the jokester at times and stuff. And he definitely brings comic relief for kids, and without even knowing it. Sometimes as well. So it's like I think. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm also basing this on what I saw last year with the ideas behind the scenes on the comic. But I do think the two of them actually would work well together. And I mean, I can picture freaking like Ram Man if they had him jumping in the sky. Mikey's gonna be on him for like a skateboard, and they're boom, 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 boom. He's gonna be hitting stuff. Ram Man's gonna be hitting into things. I think it works for me.
Okay.
Raph,
I think I haven't done my mic. Can I do my Mikey? Or you just
no,
want to do the
I'm
whole
going to
thing yourself?
Raph. Okay, who's your Mikey?
I gotta go Mikey and Orko. I think
Orko.
yeah, I
Wow.
mean,
Okay.
like you said, comic relief, the jokester,
Yeah.
give Mikey a cool hat and make the wand into nunchucks and you're good to go. Like
That's true. Actually, yeah, if I remember right, yeah, they did mix him and Orko together because he had the Ram Man helmet,
yeah.
but his nunchucks were the Orko ones.
Yeah,
I
I
think, and
think
they
I
were
did get
so
that from the
yeah,
Freddie Williams comic book.
yeah. So either way, I think we both are touching on something from that. But yeah, I didn't even think about the wands until yeah,
Yep.
that worked.
Okay, so now who is your Raphael?
Oh my God. Well, I know they did the Tila thing with him, which, to be honest, I mean, Tila is a little Raphael at times. She can have her moments. She can definitely be not cool but rude, but she can definitely have more anger in her at times and more emotion behind the stuff like Raph does. And I know they had the size were made out of the snake swords, but
Yeah.
they were smaller for the size. Um, I still think that pairing kind of works. I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head that makes sense in that way because I mean the only other option I can think of really quick could be if they wanted to go Fisto with him, but it doesn't make sense for his weapons. You
Yeah.
know, so yeah, I'll just stick with the original Tila and Raph tie-in.
See, for me, it was Raphael and Ram Man. I think is
Oh,
I mean, you got that impulsiveness that I'm just gonna pound stuff. You know what I
I'm gonna
mean?
smash
So
it. Yeah.
right. So I could see him with the armor and everything, and they do. I mean, even the red and green color
Yeah.
scheme. Really, I mean, but yeah, I just
Very
think
true.
personality wise, yeah, Raphael would be the one to just smash into stuff, and
That works.
yeah. And I'm glad that they're releasing the two Lame brothers in the first wave, and so then we can save the best turtles for later. That's nice of them.
I just like that they're giving me the one I want the most so that I can worry about the others way into the future. We're never gonna ever not give each other crap about that. I mean,
Correct.
what's funny is Jesse and I, we always had this like quiet agreement. Like Raph's his guy, Leo's my guy. We never gave each other crap. We gave each other crap more over Gambit and Rogue because he hated Gambit, and I was like, I like him. I don't care. He's macking on your girl. Sorry, can't help it. But in the Ninja Turtles case, you and I, it's always going to be Raph's the best, and the rest are just last place.
Exactly.
And I'm going to just look at you and go, nope. But anyway.
Oh, but
And
hey,
your cat tail is just, your cat is just like, I think he's got a point.
yeah, she's trying to make me log off here. So
That'll be our second time today. That's no good.
we got the Target toy catalog.
Oh, geez.
And we do have Turtles on the front. We got Sonic. We got Jurassic Park. So it's kind of interesting all these years later. And we do have a Master sighting. We do have a Slush Head Masterverse.
Out of all of them, Slush Head is the one that they're showing. That's funny.
Well, he's the current Target exclusive.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, all the new adventures are exclusively Target.
Okay.
And he's the one that just came out. So, I really expected them to have more though, because actually Target has been. I know you said they didn't have much, but Target's been my place where if I'm gonna see stuff, that's where it's at. That's Ram Man, Clawful. That's where I got the Whiplashes. Like,
I will say though, my Target, and I only have been to my Target probably twice in the last month, and then before that, I couldn't tell you the last time I went to Target.
Yeah.
My Target has also not been loaded on hardly anything. The only new thing that they had recently, and I ended up picking it up, was this guy.
Yep. Yep.
And that was the closest to new I've seen them have in quite a while. And they had him, they had Magneto, and they had Bishop when I was there. And they had only like one or two more gambits after the one that I chose. So that was a surprise. But typically, like Marvel Legends, those are dwindling in there. They have a ton of the McFarlane DC stuff. They have a ton of Mario stuff from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to the stuff that I go there and I hope to see, I barely ever see the stuff that I would love to catch in the wild.
Yeah, mine had like 8 bishops and nothing else. So
He's not a bad looking figure, but I don't like
he's
Bishop
not,
as
but
a character.
he's Bishop. Like
He's Bishop. It's like that's like I don't know. I don't even know the best way to describe it. It's like it's the same as saying, like the wall is white,
Yeah.
like it's like great, that's awesome for the wall, but I'd rather have something awesome like Wolverine or Rogue or Gambit any other day than Bishop.
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually rewatching some rainy day, nothing was on, and I rewatched like the first couple seasons of the original X-Men animated series, and I was actually surprised how much he was in it. And by by his like second, I don't know if it was an episode or an arc, whatever, like his second story arc, I'm kind of like, you know what, I'm kind of good with him.
Yeah.
He was also kind of weird in that series because I know it's one, and Larry Houston was a big voice on that series, and he's done a lot of interviews over the years on it. And I know he said like that they were never sure they were getting another season, so every season they were always just trying to do as much as they possibly could, because as far as they knew, it's like this is our only chance.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, we got picked up for another season. All right, let's jam as much in here because this is our only chance. Like, but it was kind of interesting how the first couple seasons they're running like the Cable and Bishop storylines like at the same time, and they're so similar in my opinion. I know someone that's at least in the animated series. I'm not a huge X-Men comic reader, so maybe there's a bigger difference in the comics. But at least in the animated series, they were both kind of like on the same territory. So that was kind of weird. The way those two storylines kind of mirrored and straddled each other. And definitely lots I missed as a kid. I felt I watched that more than I did, apparently. Because rewatching it, I'm like, I didn't see half of these episodes.
I'm actually tempted. I'm probably out of me and Jesse. I'm probably the more I'd go back and want to watch it, because the only one that I got to watch was the one that I got at Pizza Hut when I was a kid. The
Night of the
Sentinels. Yeah.
Yep.
And
part 1 and 2 on two separate VHSs. I had to beg my parents twice to finish the episode so they would buy me the second tape.
Yep. and I got those, and that was it. And
yeah,
I couldn't get the station. I couldn't get the Fox station that was local at the time, so I had those. And I'm tempted to go back and like go on Disney Plus and watch it from beginning to end, or at least in chunks or whatever, because I do feel like I missed out when how many people think that show is a really good representation. To me, it's better than what the movies did. At least they feel like the characters, but Bishop for me, like even when he was in the comic, the first issue they did with the Gold Team, I was still like, oh my god, this is so cool. And then Bishop showed up literally one issue later, and I remember just going like, who is this guy? Like, and then the whole thing with him, like he keeps blaming Gambit for being the reason that the X-Men fall, and then it turns out that's not even correct. And I'm like, all that this thing is doing is making Bishop even bigger of a dink than he was to begin with, because it's just,
right, so
I blame you. Oh crap! It was Onslaught. I'm so sorry. I did that wrong. Like like the whole thing with him was just a convoluted mess. Cable, just really quick. Cable, at least he had X-Force going, and at least I was enjoying what he was about, because it wasn't a constant thing of blaming the X-Men, but one X-Men in particular, for getting the rest of them killed and all that stuff. But, yeah,
that's interesting. I didn't know that. So the animated
Cable
series
was here before Bishop in the comics, so Cable was already
technically in the
creating
animated
X-Force.
series too, but
okay, all right,
just Bishop's storyline that's interesting based on the episodes I've seen for the animated series. Definitely some surprises, but there's also some of what you said that came through to the animated series. So,
all right. Well, like I said, I might give it a shot sometime.
My plan was, especially with X-Men 97, you know, coming out at some point from Disney Plus, it was one of those like, well, I should probably refresh myself on what occurred. And like I said, just kind of, and then as I got into it, I'm like you, I'm like, I thought I had seen a majority at least, but I got through the first 2 seasons, and I would say maybe 50% is what I actually remember. So, and I know definitely as the later seasons came on, I didn't watch as much. So I'm like, man, I probably don't know anything about those final seasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my X-Men growing up. So.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, and this will be the end of it for me, but it always made me sad that the best time, like X-Men, the original animated, they didn't have Colossus in.
Yeah.
And the only time Colossus was really in any animated thing was the Pride of the X-Men, and I know he showed up a little bit on one of the other shows, but I still, to this day, I'm like, my God, like everybody I love, it's usually that's the guy they don't put in there half the, like Leonardo, oh, he's hardly in anything, and even though he's the leader, he was always the one that you put off to the side because the other 3 were cooler. Colossus, don't worry about him. Wolverine's got the highlight. Oh my God, so
I know he's got at least three episodes in the animated series, because I've seen 2 on my rewatch, and then there's a third that I remember that I haven't seen yet. So, yeah, he's. I mean, that's not
much, but it's
that's not great, but it's better than 1 episode or not at all. So,
yeah, true.
I think it's kind of tough there that like X-Men is just, they've got so many years in so many teams that it's like, how do you do this? And for the animated series, they really kept to the core team throughout.
Yeah.
And that's something that, maybe 2020 hindsight, maybe if they had gone a little bit more gold and blue and, maybe that's something they could have done, but
and
I don't think a network at the time would have gone for that.
No,
because it's
exactly
more with the animated television. It's like you have to have, He-Man's got to be in every episode. Teela and Man at Arms have to be in the majority of episodes. Like we don't mix up the formula. Kids like this. So
and that's like, for me as a kid, if I was younger and I could watch the X-Men show, if they said there's gonna, here's the X-Men show starting out, but then they do X-Men Gold or something, and then they have a different team, that would have made me like salivating to go, I get twice the amount of this, and probably now that would have been an option. But back then there was no guarantee. Like you said, every season might have been their last. So the guarantee of having a spinoff was probably, nil, obviously. So, yeah.
Well, even Justice League famously back in the day, when they wanted to go, well, Cartoon Network wanted them to revamp something, to kind of mix it up, but they were like, well, we're going to go unlimited and we're going to bring in everybody. And Cartoon Network was like, whoa, wait a minute here. Like Cartoon Network was like, hey, how about we just swap in a couple new members? And they're like, hey, let's bring all of the heroes. was.
Yeah.
And there was kind of some pushback there where they were like, I don't know if that's going to work. And, you know, famously it did. And luckily they fought for it. But yeah, it's just funny. The checks and balances, the hoops that you got to jump through to get this stuff going.
That's another one. Firestorm didn't show up there, and I love him. Can't win. It's like Firestorm was on the Galactic Guardians Superpowers show back in the 80s, so I can't say he was never on it.
Why would Firestorm show up in the X-Men?
On Justice League.
Oh, on Justice League.
He was a Justice League member, and
I thought you were talking about X-Men still. Sorry.
No, not X-Men, but Justice League. And if I remember right,
wasn't he? I thought
he was never on Justice League Unlimited. But if I remember right, they actually said somewhere that the episode, The Greatest Story Never Told, about Booster Gold, originally that was meant to be Firestorm's episode. It was either that or it was the one with Shazam, back when he was Captain Marvel still. It was going to be one of those two episodes I read. They first were going to do Firestorm, and then for some reason they changed it to Booster Gold or Captain Marvel. Because I was like, that's the one thing they didn't get to do before the show ended, was I really wanted to see Firestorm show up at least once. Right? He's like right up there with Superman for me in DC. I always loved the iconic look of the character.
Oh,
he was such an interesting character with the fact his physicality was mentally amalgamated with the professor, so then that way he could solve problems using the professor to help him, made him a better character and a better hero. But they never did it on that show, and I was always like, well, all right. But they made Green Arrow badass on that thing, so I couldn't complain. He was one of my absolute favorites on that show.
Firestorm did appear in the comics for Justice League Unlimited. So
that doesn't help me.
He was there, and he did.
he was there, but I wasn't reading the comics.
He did get an action figure as well in the.
Yeah, I do remember that. But it is what it is. I mean, you can't win them all, and in my case, I can't win any of them because Leo's always and Colossus is Firestorm is and it's like, sheesh, people.
Maybe you just need to like better characters.
I will never, ever like better characters. I'll like what I like, damn it. They're already just fine as it is, and they're dandy. Yeah. You hear that, Leo?
All right. I think that's an episode. Shawn, where can they find you?
I don't know. Please help me figure out where I am right now. I'm trying to find all my lost characters anyway. You can find me here every couple of weeks. We'll put out episodes. You can also find me on Offworld on Fridays. Not every Friday night, but I will be there with the core group. And you can also find me occasionally on Toy Frenzy on the Skelevator channel on YouTube as well. So Thursday night Toy Frenzy. I am a 50-50 shot on that one as well.
Yeah. We got Offworld this Friday, October 27th. If you happen to catch this episode before then, we will be discussing the horror movie Happy Death Day, which I have not seen yet, but I'm told it's good. I believe, Shawn, you have seen it or not seen it?
Nope, I haven't. I gotta do movies this week because that too. And the Have You Ever.
Yep, so we've got so we'll be looking at it from the dual perspective of Shawn and I never haven't seen it, and Curtis and Jesse have already seen it and they love it. So that'll be fun. We're definitely going to be discussing some Halloween related memories and whatnot. And then we will also be discussing the Have You Ever that was thrown out to us, which is the Dream Team starring Michael Keaton and Christopher Lloyd, among many others. I forget his name, but the dad from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Peter Boyle from Young
Peter Boyle, thank you. I couldn't pull it off my
Peter
top
Boyle.
of my head. He's in it. Looking freaking exactly the same. I don't think that dude aged. Like, he was just always 50. Like
he's like when Marty McFly sees Strickland in the 1950s. Didn't that I ever have hair? You know?
Right. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Join us live on the Offworld channel at 9 p.m. Central. No, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m.
9
Central.
p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central.
I did the time change twice. Anywho, yeah. I think that's... Oh! And in about 2 weeks, you can see all of us at Legion's Con.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We got that. It's a little thing.
November 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think technically the con is only
12th,
the
right?
11th and 12th, but G-Con is the 10th. And my plan is definitely be in town by Friday morning. Depending on the traffic goes. So
yeah, I'm pumped. I'm excited because the reveal is going to be Noble Bear and Sons of the Red Star, and those are the two factions that I quite like. So
yep,
either way, I'm screwed.
Those are the two lamest factions. I will agree. That's
well, you and Rich from the Euro Legions podcast can go and hang out in the corner and complain while I sit there and I'm cheering.
Actually, Sons of the Red Star is okay. Some of their guys are pretty cool. Some of them are, but yeah, Noble Bear, it's just a bunch of boring humans. Like,
I'll tell you which one. The Etheron one to me is just like, oh great, Templars. Okay.
Yeah, but they got a giant freaking bird god. Like,
bear's cooler to me than a bird god.
What bear do they have? The picture of the bear on the banner? Ooh, that's an exciting figure.
I'll take it.
Let me wave my bear banner at you. Look at my bear banner. Oh.
Well, you were all proud of it earlier, so why not?
That is a cool banner.
Don't mock yourself.
Now, maybe if they do a giant god bear for them to fight with them, like.
Well, right. I don't think they'll ever do that because I know there's not, and I know it's not one of the four things, but there's that element of just like, I just like Splinter factions because the other ones to me, like the Basilia and all the other, I'm like, just give me the Noble Bear and give me a bunch of skeletons and demons, and I'm a happy camper usually.
You will definitely hear more about this post Legion's Con. We got a big episode planned for that. We'll discuss all the reveals. We'll discuss our time at the con. Legends next episode, Forge of Destiny number 3. That'll release November 1st. So look out for that. We're usually good within a day or two to get that out. And then, like I said, we'll see you at Legion's Con. Finalizing some cool merch that we're going to have for sale. We're going to be doing some live interviews at the table. So make sure to stop on by, say hi, and you could potentially be on a future episode that will drop. So going to be lots of fun. All right, guys. Until next time, we will see you on Offworld.
Oh, come on.